Hi everyone, Sailor Jupiter, Sailor King Road Leader here, and today I'm going to talk about, well, the good in the Sailor Moon followership, which there is. You know, first off, I did make friends. Well, I guess you can call them friends. I don't know. A lot of folks say that you can't really call folks that you either meet over the interweb as friends, even if you because you don't know them and they don't know you. Even if, let's say, even if, I don't know, well, whatever. And yes, a lot of them did happen to like and still like what I do or like what gets done here, you know. And at first, when we first started doing this about 10 years ago, well, soon to be 11 years, we didn't know we were going to get a lot of folks that liked what was done here, you know. And some folks would say, well, why do a Sailor Moon Fairway to begin with? Because there wasn't one. Before what we did, before what Dwayne did here, there wasn't any. I mean, there wasn't anyone doing that. You know, not when he first came on, there wasn't. So there was a need for it. So, and in 2008 YL, there was a need for that, so we made one. But then he didn't get his first web shooter until at least the 12th month as a early Yule gift. And then, yeah. But he came on, and there wasn't anyone doing what others do now. I mean, don't get me wrong. You had Mario and Sonic and SpongeBob and Mickey Mouse. Yeah, you had SpongeBob SquarePants, Mickey Mouse, Mario, Sonic. You had folks doing things with their dolls and still doing things with those dolls. But there was no Sailor Moon, you know. Oh, there were folks that gathered Sailor Moon dolls. They might show them off or talk about them, but that was as far as it went. So, saw there was a need and started doing it. And it came with some good and some bad, but we're mostly going to talk about the good because we always talked about the bad way too many times. You know, met some good folks who were into Sailor Moon the same way he was. Needby had been into Sailor Moon longer than he was, you know, and had the same love for Sailor Moon that he did. And yes, did it come with some downsides? Yes, we all know on the interweb the downsides that come with being on any interweb website, whatever. We don't need to give them any thought. We know what those downsides are. But there were some upsides to it, you know? So, and the take on it was going to be the Deep Glee Sailor Moon, which also includes the Pioneer Glee Sailor Moon or Pathseeker Glee Sailor Moon, though some of the none beloved in the Sailor Moon followership. Very few folks like the Deep Glee one, or the Pioneer Glee one, or the Pathseeker Glee one, due to all the shifts and all the skimmings and everything else. So we would do things like that. And we started to blow up big, and we're just talking about, you know, you know, and at the time there wasn't anyone doing this. And it really wasn't until lately that folks started doing it. But maybe they didn't do it as much as would say Dwayne did or whatever. That's true. I mean, okay, all right, you had Sailor Moon Jacob, and he showed up in 2020 YL and was there from 2021 and 2022 YL at the latest before he either left and went on to do other things. And you may have had other folks, and he was doing it for a short time, mostly with the squeeze dolls made by the Great Eastern Glee business and whatever. And then you also end up having Warrior Tina or Fighter Tina, whatever her handle was. But she tended to not only do, films with the squeeze dolls for Sailor Moon, but for squeeze dolls from other drawing shows and other drawing films. So before anyone else may have thought of doing it, there wasn't anyone else. Not that he knew of. Because Euro is a big website, and it still's a big website. So yeah, he could have missed some folks out there. I mean, yes, don't get me wrong, there was the Costa players or the clothing players out there. The ones who make the clothing and then, play as the stuff that they're clothing as. And they were all over. And even back then, they were all over. And yes, there may have been the doll gatherers, true. And then there were those who were doing their skits, or whatever you want to call it, making, or larks of making fun of it, or whatever they were doing. That was going on back then and still goes on to this day. But as far as making a Fairway with Sailor Moon dolls either talking about something as a team or solo or fighting or whatever, well, that wasn't going on at that time. So, yeah. But we met a lot of good folks over the years. Some of them that are no longer on Euro anymore, and some of them who still are. And it was these folks that always had to deal with the downsides as much as had to deal with the downsides here. But there were a lot of upsides to it. So, because there was a need, no one else was doing it, so it felt it had to be done. And that's why we got this Fairway here, which has lasted longer than all the other ones. If you want to see the film we made earlier this morning, where Sailor Red World gave her rant on Google Android for its flow startup or its flow updating, you can watch that rant film if you want to, and I'll see you later.